The Galactic Council had ruled the stars for millennia. Comprising of the most advanced and powerful species in the known universe, they were the arbiters of peace, order, and civilization. At least, that's how they saw themselves. But today, as they sat in their chamber, a tremor of uncertainty rippled through their ranks. A species they had long considered primitive, inconsequential, and beneath them, had refused to bow to their will. And that species, Earth, was starting to make them question everything. The humans, Counselor Krell Thursday, a towering insectoid from the Vellum system, hissed through his mandibles, are a nuisance. Why haven't they yielded yet? A murmur of agreement ran through the council, each representative speaking in a language the others instinctively understood. Some were dismissive, others filled with quiet dread, but none were unaffected. In the center of the room, a hologram of Earth pulsed with light, a constant reminder of the stubborn defiance that had sent waves of frustration and unease through the galaxy's mightiest beings. Humanity, it seemed, was under no illusion of their inferiority. The Council had expected them to crumble when their fleets and weapons arrived, when their threats were made clear, and when every possible form of coercion was brought to bear. But instead of submission, they had received a message, a simple, unyielding message: we will not negotiate. Did they not understand? Counselor Varesh, a tall, reptilian diplomat, spat, his eyes glowing bright yellow in the dim light. This is a mistake. We give them one more chance to comply, or we eliminate the threat. A ripple of agreement passed through the ranks again. The word eliminate was not spoken lightly in this room. For centuries, the Council had ensured that no race could challenge their authority, their dominance. They had eradicated species for far less, and yet this human race, with their primitive technology and simple lives, stood defiant. The mere thought of it made their collective skin crawl. "We will do no such thing," interrupted the voice of the Chirrell, a floating orb of intelligence, a machine species that valued logic above all else. "We must understand why they refuse us. To destroy them outright would be inefficient. This is not the threat we perceive." "Then what is it?" Krell Thursday demanded, his antennae twitching with frustration. "Do you think these primitive creatures have any weapon capable of matching us?" At that, silence fell. The Chirrell's circuits hummed, a subtle indication of its processing. The question was, indeed, more complex than they could fathom. But in their arrogance, they had overlooked something crucial. Humans were not afraid. It had all started as a trivial matter. A human ambassador, young and idealistic, had taken the Council's words as a mere formality, as if they could only offer empty promises in response to their demands. He had smiled, waved off the threats, and politely told them that Earth would not adhere to their terms. Such a casual dismissal should have been laughed off. But the more the Council pressed, the more the humans held firm. "What are they hiding?" Varesh growled, his eyes narrowing in suspicion. The question haunted every member of the Council. What if there was something more to humanity than they realized? The truth was that Earth had not surrendered, not because they were stubborn or foolish, but because they did not need to. "Perhaps," mused the Chirrell, "it is not what they have, but what they know." "No," Krell Thursday repeated, his voice laced with disbelief. "What could they possibly know that could withstand us? We have destroyed civilizations for far less." "Not everything is about weapons," the Chirrell continued. "There are forces in the galaxy older than the Council, older than any of us, forces that even we have only begun to understand. I believe the humans may have encountered them, and now they're changing." At this, an uneasy quiet swept over the chamber. No one had anticipated the growing power of humanity. No one had understood how deeply their resilience ran. And now, the Council was on the precipice of an unknown. The message Earth sent, their refusal to yield, was not one of ignorance. It was a message of power, and the Council had only just begun to realize the gravity of their mistake. The meeting had just begun, but the fate of the galaxy was already being rewritten. Earth will never submit. The words echoed through the vast Council chamber, the human ambassador's voice steady despite the weight of every alien eye fixed upon him. Ambassador Mark Grayson stood tall at the center of the Grand Assembly Hall, the sheer magnitude of the Galactic Council pressing down on him. A full spectrum of alien species sat in judgment, their eyes betraying a mix of disbelief and scorn. Yet, Grayson showed no sign of fear. He spoke not as a defeated diplomat, but as a representative of a force that had just begun to realize its power. "Do you believe these humans can withstand us?" Counselor Varesh asked, her reptilian eyes narrowing with contempt. She leaned forward, her sharp teeth gleaming as she spoke. The alien species surrounding her shifted uneasily, feeling the tension rising. "I believe they've made themselves perfectly clear," Grayson replied, his gaze unwavering. "We've come to tell you, plainly and without hesitation, that we will not negotiate any further. You have no leverage over us." The room fell silent, the weight of his words sinking in. The assembled representatives exchanged uneasy glances, though none dared to challenge him directly. After all, the Council's dominance over the galaxy had never been questioned, until now. Grayson's presence was a statement in itself. Not only was he the ambassador of Earth, but the very symbol of humanity's rise. He had been part of the initial diplomatic attempts, watching as Earth's demands were repeatedly dismissed. But this time, he wasn't here to plead for peace or offer concessions. His message was simple. Humanity would not bend. A flicker of movement caught his attention. The hologram displayed before the assembly shifted, and there it was again. Earth seemingly small against the backdrop of the galaxy, yet resilient. A single, stubborn speck in the midst of the stars, refusing to be swallowed up by the vast expanse of cosmic power. "You understand, of course," Grayson continued, his tone growing colder, "that refusing to comply with the Council's demands is not without consequence. But we're willing to take that risk. This is no longer a negotiation. Earth is no longer a pawn." A low hum spread through the room, the tension palpable. Some council members leaned back in their seats, a look of disbelief on their faces. Others clenched their fists, grinding their teeth in frustration. Grayson's words were not the bluster of an inexperienced diplomat. They were the words of a man who knew humanity's worth. And he was making it known to the galaxy. "You underestimate us," Grayson said, meeting the gazes of the alien leaders one by one. "And that will be your downfall." At that, the room erupted into a cacophony of voices. The Council's representatives were not accustomed to being so openly defied, let alone by a species they deemed primitive. The debate grew louder as accusations flew back and forth. Some called for immediate action to crush Earth's defiance, while others warned against underestimating the humans' resolve. But Grayson stood his ground, unwavering. He was not afraid of the threats, nor the bluster. Deep down, he knew something the Council did not, that Earth was no longer the weak, vulnerable world they thought it was. And humanity was no longer begging for mercy. As the bickering continued, Grayson raised his hand, signaling for silence. Slowly, the room quieted, though the air remained thick with the tension of unspoken threats and unacknowledged fear. "Let me make something abundantly clear," Grayson said, his voice cutting through the murmur. "We are not afraid of you. We have no intention of being enslaved by you, nor will we bow to your will. We'll fight, we'll endure, and we'll win. The choice is yours. You can respect Earth's sovereignty and coexist, or you can face the consequences of your arrogance." The words hung in the air like a challenge. Grayson could see the disbelief in their eyes, the seeds of doubt beginning to take root. The Council had never encountered a species like humanity, a species that refused to accept its fate, that refused to be cowed by threats, that refused to give in. "You are making a grave mistake," Counselor Krell Thursday spat, his mandibles clicking angrily. "This is not just about your pathetic little planet. This is about maintaining order in the galaxy. We cannot let such defiance go unchecked." "I understand the stakes," Grayson replied, "but we are not your subjects. We will not be ruled, and we will not be intimidated. And the sooner you realize that, the better." He took a step back, a signal that his speech was concluded. But as he turned to leave, he saw something that caused a shiver to run down his spine. For the first time, the Council seemed unsure. The leaders who had once been so confident in their control of the galaxy now found themselves uncertain, as if a crack had appeared in their carefully constructed facade of dominance. Grayson didn't know what was coming next, but he could feel it in his bones. Humanity's refusal was about to change everything. The galaxy, for all its advanced civilizations and powerful forces, had just underestimated the one thing they could never understand: the sheer will of the human spirit. As he stepped out of the chamber, Grayson glanced back at the alien representatives. Their fear was barely concealed. The council had just realized that humanity was no longer a species to be dismissed. Earth had refused to negotiate, and that, in itself, was a victory. The encrypted transmission from Earth had arrived, and the council was about to learn something they never expected. In the heart of the Galactic Council's chamber, the alien representatives sat in tense silence, their glowing eyes fixed on the central holoscreen. On it was a flickering image, a simple message, decoded and decrypted, a human transmission that had set the galaxy's most powerful beings on edge. What had seemed like a defiant rejection of their authority now took on a far darker meaning. "This can't be right," Counselor Varesh whispered, her voice a mix of disbelief and fear. Her sharp claws trembled slightly as she leaned closer to the holo display, analyzing the data again. Is this what we think it is?" The transmission wasn't just a message, it was a warning. A single line of text scrolled across the screen. "We know what you fear. It's already here." The council's leaders exchanged uneasy glances. It wasn't just defiance this time. There was something more, something far more dangerous. "We've been dismissing Earth as an insignificant power," Counselor Krell Thursday hissed, his insectoid body stiff with tension. "But this is no longer about a weak species refusing us. This is a challenge, a revelation." The message continued, its cryptic nature gnawing at the minds of the counselors. "The artifact is awakening. We have only begun to understand its power." The council had long suspected that humanity was hiding something. For months, their spies had reported strange activity on Earth, research programs, technology that defied comprehension, and increasingly powerful military advancements. But none of the council members had anticipated the truth. Earth had uncovered something ancient, something that, if unleashed, could alter the entire balance of the galaxy. "The artifact," Varesh muttered under her breath, the word heavy with meaning. It was a term they had long associated with myth, a relic of an ancient civilization lost to time, rumored to possess powers beyond anything they could understand. But no one had believed it existed. Until now. "Is it possible?" Krell Thursday asked, his voice low and filled with uncertainty. Could humanity really have found it? The artifact, once thought to be nothing more than a myth from the forgotten histories of the universe, was now at the heart of a dangerous game. Humanity had unearthed it, and they were willing to use it. The message flashed again, this time with a visual component, a rotating, shimmering sphere, surrounded by ancient symbols and patterns. The artifact, perhaps, was more than just a relic. It seemed to pulse with energy, a signal of life far older and more powerful than anything the council had encountered. "Why haven't they used it against us already?" Varesh asked, her suspicion growing. "What are they waiting for?" The answer came from the Chiral, the sentient machine intelligence, who had remained silent until now. "They are testing us. This artifact does not just hold power, it holds knowledge. And humanity is no longer simply defending itself. They are preparing for something greater." The realization hit the council like a bolt of lightning. Earth wasn't just refusing to negotiate. They were preparing to confront them head-on, to challenge their authority in a way that no other species had dared. They had discovered something ancient, something powerful, and humanity was no longer a pawn in their game. Grayson's earlier message, once dismissed as the arrogant words of an overconfident diplomat, now carried an ominous weight. Earth was no longer in a position of weakness. They had discovered the artifact, and they had only just begun to unlock its potential. "We need to act," Krell Thursday said, his voice cutting through the silence. "We cannot afford to let them gain control of this power. If they do, the entire galaxy will be at risk." For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council found itself in a position of uncertainty. The humans, those insignificant creatures from a small corner of the galaxy, had uncovered something that threatened their very dominance. The Council had underestimated humanity, and now the true challenge had begun. The Galactic Council had underestimated humanity once too often. Now, as the first shockwave of humanity's response hit, it was clear they had made a critical error. Earth's fleet emerged from the darkness of space, not in small, scattered clusters, but in force, a wall of ships that filled the sky with an imposing presence. The Council, having dismissed Earth as a fringe player in galactic politics, was now faced with a terrifying reality. Humanity had advanced beyond their understanding, and they were ready to fight. Counselor Krell Thursday gripped the armrests of his chair, his eyes fixed on the live feed of Earth's warships. "This is impossible," he growled. "Where did they get these ships?" The vessels before him were nothing like the primitive technology Earth had used during their first encounters with the Council. These ships were sleek, imposing, and clearly built for war. Their hulls shimmered with a combination of advanced metallurgy and energy fields the Council had never seen, and their weapon systems were powerful enough to challenge even the Council's most formidable fleets. In an instant, the Council was thrown into disarray. The urgency in the room was palpable as various representatives scrambled to assess the situation. "Who authorized this?" Varesh demanded, her voice cracking with rage. "We thought they were weak. We thought they were no threat." The Chirrell, its floating orb of intelligence pulsating with bright blue light, was silent for a moment. When it spoke, its tone was unusually grave. "They have not only adapted, they have surpassed us. This is no ordinary fleet. It is too advanced." The human ambassador, Mark Grayson, was no longer the only presence from Earth in the Council chambers. The moment the fleet appeared, Earth had sent reinforcements, scientists, engineers, and military leaders, who arrived via diplomatic channels, ready to offer both insight and muscle. And now, standing at the heart of the galactic political arena, Grayson felt his resolve solidify. Humanity wasn't simply defending its home anymore. It was ready to claim its place among the stars. "The transmission," Grayson spoke up, breaking the silence. His voice was steady, yet laced with an unshakable confidence. "You may have underestimated us, but you'll understand now. Earth will not be pushed around. If you want peace, you will respect our sovereignty. But if you choose war, you'll face the consequences." Grayson's words hung in the air like a challenge, and the Council members could only stare back in stunned silence. No one expected such an aggressive stance from humanity. What had once been considered a rogue act of defiance was now taking shape as an undeniable demonstration of power. "How do you explain this?" Krell Thursday hissed, his sharp claws digging into the table. "This technology, this fleet, it's impossible for your species to have developed so quickly. What are you hiding?" Grayson didn't flinch. He had seen the Council's reaction before, but now it was different. Now, humanity was not begging for their approval. They were demanding recognition. "We didn't develop this overnight," Grayson replied, his gaze unwavering. "We've been building. We've been preparing. And it's not just about the ships, it's what's behind them. Humanity is not a threat because of weapons alone, but because of what we know and what we're capable of when pushed to the limit." The Council wasn't ready for this revelation. They had assumed humanity's newfound technological prowess came from reverse engineering their ships or scavenging abandoned relics from previous galactic wars. But now, it was clear, Earth's military force was not a copy of anything they had encountered before. It was something born from ingenuity, desperation, and a deep, unyielding will to survive. "We've underestimated you," Varesh admitted, her voice low. The words stung, but she knew they were true. "But you've played your hand too soon. We will crush you, no matter your strength." But Grayson's expression didn't falter. He had anticipated such threats. The truth was, Earth was no longer dependent on brute force alone. The ships, the technology, the power, these were merely the surface of something deeper. Something the Council could never understand. As Grayson turned to leave the chamber, He made one final statement that sealed the fate of the galaxy. We're not afraid of your fleets. We're not afraid of your threats. But mark my words, this is only the beginning. Earth will never kneel again. The message came through in a cryptic flash of light, disrupting the tense silence that had gripped the Galactic Council. It wasn't the usual transmission they were accustomed to, no formal introduction, no ambassadorial greeting. Just a single line of text, bold and unmistakable. We are not alone. The council members exchanged confused, wary glances, their collective anxiety deepening. They were no longer just facing a defiant human race. There was something else, something unexpected, lurking just beyond the edge of their understanding. This must be a trap, Counselor Varesh muttered under her breath, her sharp eyes scanning the holographic projection. She had no intention of showing weakness, but the chill running down her spine was undeniable. The humans, it seemed, were not the only force to be reckoned with. Explain, barked Krell Thursday, his mandibles clicking with frustration. Who is this, and what do they want? The churl, silent until now, finally responded. It's not a message from humanity alone, it said in its cold, mechanical voice. It's an encrypted signal linked to Earth, but there is something else, something older. The hologram before them shifted, revealing a foreign symbol, unlike anything the Council had encountered. It was ancient, intricate, with curves and lines that hinted at a language not yet deciphered. As the transmission continued, a new image flickered into view, an alien ship, enormous and shimmering with an aura of raw, untapped energy. It was nothing like the sleek, advanced warships Earth had already revealed. This ship exuded an almost otherworldly power, as if the very fabric of space bent around it. This ship is no human creation, Krell Thursday hissed, his antennae twitching in alarm. It's not even close to anything we've seen before. The ship's design was alien to the core, an impossible hybrid of organic and mechanical, with glowing energy veins running through its hull. It was like nothing the Council had ever imagined, and it was coming toward Earth. And then the voice came, deep and resonant, speaking directly to the Council. To the Galactic Council, your reckoning has arrived. Humanity is no longer alone. You have awakened forces that were better left undisturbed. The Ancient Ones are coming. The room fell silent, the weight of the words sinking in. The Council had thought themselves the pinnacle of galactic power. They had dismissed Earth as a weakling, a mere insect in the vast universe. But now, it seemed, Earth had been hiding something much larger, something they had kept hidden from prying eyes for centuries. The Ancient Ones? Varesh repeated, her voice trembling. Who are these beings? The churl spoke again, its usual calm demeanor shattered by an unprecedented wave of uncertainty. The Ancient Ones, they are not a race we know. They are older than any civilization in this galaxy. Legends speak of them, whispers, fragments of stories, that they once held dominion over the stars, before vanishing from history. Some say they left behind weapons that could rewrite the laws of the universe. Krell Thursday stood up, his voice laced with rage. This is madness. We have fought against gods, but this is an act of defiance beyond anything we have ever faced. If these so-called Ancient Ones are truly real, and they have allied themselves with Earth, then we are already lost, interrupted the churl. The Council's head honchos could only stare at the holographic display. For the first time in eons, the unthinkable had happened. Humanity had called upon forces they didn't fully understand. And now the Galactic Council's monopoly on power was being questioned by something far older and more dangerous than they could have ever anticipated. A new message flashed on the screen, followed by the image of a humanoid figure, tall and cloaked in shadow. His features were concealed, but the power radiating from him was unmistakable. The figure stepped forward, his presence imposing, as if the very atmosphere bent under the weight of his existence. This is Arctis, the guardian of the Forgotten Order, the voice echoed, sending a shiver through the Council. We have watched humanity for millennia, and we will not let it fall under the heel of your empire. The time has come to fulfill the promises made long ago. Earth will not fall. Grayson's voice calm and measured, broke through the tension as he spoke. "We do not need your permission, nor your understanding. We stand on our own. The Ancient Ones have come to protect us, and to ensure that no force, no matter how powerful, will enslave us again." The room erupted in chaos as the gravity of the situation hit home. For years, the Council had ruled with unchallenged dominance, thinking that their control over the galaxy was absolute. But in one single transmission, their reality had shattered. Humanity had found an ally older than any of them, and now the balance of power had shifted. Krell Thursday, once the most feared of the Council, fell silent. The words of the Guardian echoed in his mind. The time has come to fulfill the promises made long ago. Humanity had tapped into something vast, something that could reshape the galaxy. And now, nothing would ever be the same again. The Galactic Council's once impenetrable facade of dominance crumbled in an instant. As the ancient allies' fleet descended upon the Council's capital, the fate of the galaxy teetered on the edge of a knife. The stars seemed to vanish behind a wall of ships. Massive vessels, glowing with impossible energy, flanked by sleek human warships, filled the void. The artifact, pulsing with an eerie light at the heart of the fleet, was a reminder to the Council of their greatest mistake, underestimating humanity. "This is it," Krell Thursday growled, his eyes narrowing as he watched the holographic map of the galaxy. "We've lost the advantage. They're already here." Counselor Varesh clenched her claws, her face an expression of disbelief and fear. "They've called upon the ancients, the power behind their fleets. It's something we've never seen. Not even our most advanced technologies can compete with it." A moment of silence passed in the chamber. The Churl's voice rang out, uncharacteristically agitated. "The humans have taken us by surprise, yes. But they've also awakened something we cannot control. The artifact, whatever it truly is, gives them power far beyond any of us. It may very well be the key to our undoing." The Council had always believed in their invincibility. Their fleets, their superior technologies, and their strategic alliances had made them the rulers of the galaxy. But now all of it seemed fragile. They had ignored the signs, dismissed Earth's defiance as arrogance. They were wrong. Mark Grayson stood before the Council now, a calm figure amidst the chaos. The transmission from the ancient ally had made it clear. Earth would not be submitting, and neither would the entities that had joined their cause. "There's no more room for negotiation," Grayson said, his voice steady, the weight of the moment heavy in the air. "We're done playing your games. If you want peace, you'll respect Earth's sovereignty. If not, then we will make you respect it." Came the voice of the Guardian, a deep, resonant force that seemed to reverberate in the Council chamber. The Council's leaders stiffened, the weight of the ancient words sinking in. They had never anticipated this. To challenge the Ancient Ones was to challenge the very fabric of the galaxy itself. "It's over," Varesh said quietly. "We cannot fight this. No one can." Krell Thursday's mandibles clicked in frustration. "We have no choice. The fleets are mobilizing, but their forces are already too strong." Humanity, it seemed, had done the impossible. They had not only defied the Galactic Council, but had now brought with them a power that could erase the Council's dominance in the galaxy. The ancient ally, a forgotten race with unimaginable power, had revealed themselves, and with them came the undeniable truth. Humanity was no longer a small, insignificant world. They had risen. Grayson's gaze swept across the Council, his expression cold but resolute. "You still have one choice," he said. "Join us. Together, we can reshape the galaxy. Or you can fight and be swept aside. This is the final stand, and the future of this galaxy will be determined by the choices we make now." The Council hesitated, but in their hearts, they knew the truth. They had no power left to challenge the combined forces of Earth and the Ancient Ones. There was no more time for words, no more room for pride. Grayson turned away, the decision made. Humanity had already won, whether the Council accepted it or not. As the fleets of Earth and the Ancient Ones closed in on the heart of the Galactic Council's capital, it became clear that the galaxy had entered a new era. One where Earth would no longer be a footnote, but a force to be reckoned with.